Welcome, 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 welcome. I am always excited about these monthly inspirational calls to action that I get to do every second Tuesday. And for those joining for the first time, I own a company that offers speaking, coaching, and training services to individuals and organizations. But I have to be honest, helping people grow in their leadership or discover what it means to live a life of significance is something I would do even if I were not getting paid. And it is from this heart and passion that the second Tuesday inspirational calls to action was birthed. Here is my goal. In the 20 to 30 minutes we have together, my goal is for you to walk away with at least one immediate action you can take. Now, today, I am also going to do some live coaching. So I encourage you now to get your pen, your paper, your OneNote, your Word document, whatever tool you need to be ready to jot down reflections about your own journey in your own space. I am the executive director with the John Maxwell Leadership Team, and the principles we're going to explore today draw from John Maxwell's learning system on the 17 indisputable laws of teamwork. However, today I am going to be sharing from a very personal perspective because July is my birthday month. And in fact, Friday of this week is my birthday. And so I am celebrating all month with some type of birthday bash each week. And the theme of my month-long celebration is, won't he do it? Now, I am a woman of faith. And so he refers to God. It is absolutely fine if you're not a person of faith. I still want you to stay with me because my authentic self and my why is grounded in my faith. Yours may be grounded in something else, and that is totally fine because remember our goal. Our goal is for you to walk away with one immediate action you can take on your own journey to live a life of significance. So you're going to be invited to take notes on your own truth as we journey together. I love this picture. It is a wonderful picture of teamwork, unity, and commitment. There is a circle that is complete with open hands. Each person is grabbing the arm of the next person, and it is a tight, looks like unbreakable circle and chain of commitment and open-handedness. Now, many times, instead of unity, teamwork, and commitment, we find ourselves in spaces where this is really what is going on underneath the surface. And what can this picture represent? Well, this image can represent several things. It can represent what's called artificial harmony. Now, artificial harmony is when those around you, they're silent when everybody is together and they're talking through something. But as soon as the meeting is over, or as soon as the group disperse, they will go to a select few and say things like, do you believe what they just decided? So there's this artificial harmony where in the meeting, it appears that they're not against what's going on. Or this image can represent a culture of silence. Now, how many of us love and believe in the quote that says, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. However, when there is tension, controversy, or conflict, we find ourselves silent. Now, luckily, cultures of silence and artificial harmony, they can be changed, but only if leaders become teachers and models of candor. Now, let's speak truth. Even as leaders, we have blind spots. I mean, in any given moment, we may not be walking in our own truth. So, let me share a story. Let me model candor. I was in a leadership position, and the person I reported to wanted to expose another leader as underqualified for their position. I was in agreement that the person was not the best qualified. And over time, I was directed by the person I reported to withdraw my support from the other person, to distance myself from that person, even to go as far as to publicly expose the other person. Now, I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you felt like you were watching a movie in slow motion, but it was actually happening to you. Well, in the beginning, the fact that I agreed that someone else should have been in the position, it made it very easy for me to follow orders and do as directed. But then over time, something just started to not feel right. But you know what? I said nothing. I displayed artificial harmony, and I later realized I was actually a key contributor to the culture of silence. Not a pretty picture, right? Well, here is a good place for me to say, won't he do it? I was in quiet prayer one day, and God spoke Proverbs 26:27 to my spirit. Now, this is one of those scriptures where you get the fullness of it by hearing it from multiple translations. So let me share it with you. The New International Version reads, "Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them." The New Living Translation says, "If you set a trap for others, you will get caught in it yourself. If you roll a boulder down on others, it will crush you instead." And the English Standard Version says, "Whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and a stone will come back on him who starts it rolling." Wow. Wow. So here is the thing about the world we live in and living our own truth. Everyone can observe our behavior. Your values are what can be considered as your hidden motivations. These are things that are going on underneath the surface. And so here is one truth about authenticity. The best way to lead with authenticity is for you to have an awareness of your own hidden motives. See, others can observe your behaviors, and your behavior can look the same over time. But what they will not see or necessarily be aware of is, though your behavior looks the same, under the surface, you're experiencing a value check. And a self-aware person pays attention to this check. And they begin to question, wait a minute, what's going on under the surface? And a self-aware person will shine the light and ask the question, hold on. Why do I feel unrest? Or Why do I feel uneasy about my own behavior? So my value check came in the form of Proverbs 26:27. Now, I'm going to invite you to come off mute, and I'm going to invite you to tell me, after hearing my story, which of these values would you say that Proverbs 26:27 shined a light on? You're on mute, Lady Annie. And Catherine beat you off mute.
I would say loyalty.
Okay. Okay. And tell me why.
I guess because you work together, and as opposed to going to the person, and it just whoever was in her superior, I guess maybe going to the person and addressing it, one-on-one, going behind instead of going behind her back or his back and bad mouthing them and try to call them out in public. I mean, that's no loyalty at all. I mean, I don't know. I think loyalty.
Yes. That makes sense. And what were you going to say, Lady Annie?
I was going to say, my mind went to something that we have been taught through the years. Treat others as you wish to be treated. You would not want or even like to think of the fact that someone is not being for real with you. They are phony. They are not authentic. So yes, loyalty, I agree. But also something as simple as, how do I wish to be treated? And if I wish to be treated a certain way, then if I'm going to be authentic, I must execute those same behaviors.
Absolutely. And both of you ladies gave spot on responses. Now, as an executive director with the John Maxwell team, I have access to several tools that assist my clients in identifying their hidden motives and values. And these tools shine light on their why, and it positions them to lead with authenticity. This graph represents one framework in the Maxwell Toolkit to examine values. In the example I gave you, my hidden motives rested between the answer that both of you ladies gave. My hidden motivations rested between justice and equality. From a justice perspective, I wanted to create a win-win situation, right? So, I did not want a boulder rolling on me, nor did I want to dig my own grave, right? And so Proverbs exposed a blind spot for me. See, when I started out, I thought my behavior was fine, given my perception of the person and their qualifications in the position. But something about seeing it in writing in Proverbs that I was digging a ditch for someone, but that was a wake-up call. And so then my sense of fairness and respect said, I never even considered if I could, similar to what Lady Annie said, I never considered if I could contribute to developing the person instead of standing by and expecting them to fall and to fail. Now, I'm going to share another story with you. And I'm going to give you a heads up that there were two values competing against each other in this story. And I'll ask you at the end, which values do you think were the competing values? I had one of the greatest honors of my life to lead a group of C-suite executive entrepreneurs and community leaders for 5 years. I was the leader, but I can say without hesitation that I would not be the leader, the woman, or the friend that I am today if it were not for my relationship with them. After 5 years of leading them, in a very unexpected turn of events and during a moment of prayer, I heard God said for me to step down as leader. Now, you have to understand, I was just beginning to experience a new type of transformation with this group. I mean, they were always leaders. I mean, obviously, right? Given what they did professionally and in the community. And I remember during my first year of leading them, I was excited as I got to know them. I was excited about delegating leadership areas to them and really seeing the group flourish and what we could do for others. But God stopped me in my tracks in that first year. And he told me, no. He told me our group was to be a space of rest and safety for the members. Their leadership traits would always show up because leadership was a gift from God. However, I was to care for them in this space as warriors who were resting from the battlefield. So I was like, okay, I got it. Now, fast forward about 4 or 5 years, and God had just begun to release me, to encourage them towards more leadership roles, to push them out of their comfort zones, to support them in exploring gifts that they might not have even known that they had, or that they never had a safe space to experiment with. Because when you're in the top of organizations, there can be an insecurity and a reluctance around experimenting because you feel like you have to get everything right. And so God was just releasing me to challenge them to go further. And see, over the years, we developed a bond, a trust. We'd experienced amazing growth, not only as individuals, but as a group. And so my generals, that's one way I refer to them, because they are top of the line leaders. My generals, by this point, according to God, had received their restorative rest, and we were ready to run full speed. I was excited. And then God tells me out of the blue to step down as leader. He doesn't tell me what he has planned for me, nor does he tell me what he has planned for my people. And so my first emotions were, I'm going to be honest, a bit of anger and a whole lot of protectiveness of those who were under my care. Now, let me pause here. Which values would you say were at war within me? Feel free to come off of mute. Which of these 4 values would you say were at war?
You said 2? Which 2?
Oh, well, if you see more, you tell me. What do you see as values that were probably competing within me?
Oh. As you continued to talk, the creativity part or opportunities came under personal freedom, under equality, respect, under justice, win-win situations, and having common goals. Loyalty, responsibility. You were the leader of the group, okay? So when you said which 2, as you shared this story with us, I could find at least one item that plays into all of this with the 4 instead of the 2.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Catherine.
Okay, I would say the personal freedom and loyalty.
Mm.
I would say the loyalty because I felt like you, as their leader, felt it your responsibility to be of service to them. And personal freedom, um, you enjoyed it. The opportunity, to be in service with, service to them. And you just mentioned you just got it started. So it sounds like you had a lot of good ideas coming from within that you wanted to put forth. So I would say personal freedom and loyalty.
Okay. Thank you, ladies, for
I
sharing.
love it. I love it.
Let me tell you how the story ended. I stepped down. And leaders who were gifted in ways that I am not, and who have a heart to follow God, and who have their own miraculous story of things God was doing to prepare them for such a time as this. They didn't realize it during the preparation, but God's plan began to be revealed, and they stepped forward. They are now leading the group places we would not have gone under my leadership. And I love the fact that people I once led are now leading me because I'm still with the group as a member. And I had 5 months of not knowing what God had in store for me. However, his divine plan is now becoming clear. Can I pause right here and say, won't he do it? Now, your turn. Let's have you think about your leadership, your hidden motives, and your authentic self. Looking at these 4 values, think about which ones you would say you don't really resonate with. Just think into it. Which one would you say does not really influence your behavior? And then think about which one you would say, oh, absolutely, definitely one of your values and hidden motivations for why you move the way you move. So you have ones that you do not resonate with, ones that you definitely say you resonate with. And then any that didn't fall in either of those categories, we're just going to put it in the maybe category. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you a few seconds to just quietly categorize these values for yourself. No, yes, maybe category. Now comes the more difficult task. Look at your yes pile. I'm going to show you a poll. And I want you to indicate which value would you say you are most influenced by from your yes pile. Now for the rapid coaching that I promised. An essential element to coaching is asking questions that empower and challenge. So here we go. How can your organization lead you better by understanding that one value that you identified as most important to you? Just kind of reflect on that and write down your response. How can your organization lead you better by understanding that that value is important to you? And then the next question is, have you had a leader that asked you to jeopardize this personal value? And quietly reflect on how this awareness, now that you look back, gives you a new perspective on that situation. So how can your organization lead you better? And reflecting back on a past experience, how could someone who led you done it in a way not to jeopardize your personal value? Now that we have that muscle kind of exercise and self-reflection, I mentioned at the beginning that my goal today is for you to walk away with one action you can take immediately to change your world. Let's dive into that action. Think about a current situation you are experiencing where there is tension, conflict, or something just feels a little off. And then think about these two questions. What value is important to you in that situation? And what value is important to the other person? So a current situation, because remember, we want to take immediate action. And here is your action. Your action is to lead with authenticity. Think of a connection you can make with at least one person involved in that situation. It may just be a situation between you and one other person, or it may involve a group. But just think of one person in that situation that you can make a connection with. And choose how you're going to connect. Either you be vulnerable and candid and share with that person your hidden motives, and you've experienced what it can feel like to be on the other end of somebody being vulnerable and candid. Because I shared with you two situations that didn't start off showing me in my best light. And so that's what it can look like for someone to be on the other end of your vulnerability and candor. Or you may choose to connect with that person by being humble. So show sympathy in a diplomatic and not weird way, but show empathy that you're willing to have a conversation that gives consideration to what they value. Okay, so
May I respond?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The one in particular think about a current situation you're experiencing where there is tension, conflict, or something just feels off. In that case, in that particular case, mine would be justice. And then for the other individual, equality may possibly be the value important to that individual. Because with justice, I'm going to be fair. I am going to listen. I'm going to I am going to be in a position of humility. Okay. So the other individual probably just wants to be heard, wants to be understood, wants to feel that he or she has an equal role in what is going on, and that it is not just one-sided.
That's good.
I like to be humble, show empathy in a diplomatic way.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And so, ladies, you now have your one action that you can take to ensure that you lead with authenticity. Now, I mentioned that I am a leadership coach, so allow me just a few seconds to share how you can dive deeper into these concepts if you are interested. The value framework we explored is part of the Maxwell Leadership and Team Impact consultation that I provide. I have provided this consultation to individuals as well as to entire teams within an organization. I'm going to show a poll, and if this poll doesn't work, you can feel free to just enter your response in the chat. But please take a minute and just indicate if you're interested in receiving more information about how you can apply this tool to your own personal development or the space where you have influence. And while you're responding to that poll, I mentioned that today's event was part of my Won't He Do It birthday bash celebration. So I want to let you ladies know that each week when I have one of these celebrations, all attendees are automatically eligible to enter into a giveaway raffle. So I will be entering your names into the raffle.
Okay.
And if you're interested in seeing the remainder of the celebrations for the month, here are the dates. I will also be sending out follow-up information. Ladies, I value you. I appreciate your time. I thank you for indulging me.